Sergeant Kim Tae-ho checked his watch for the third time in 10 minutes. The numbers glowed green against his wrist in the dim light of lunar mining colony Delta 7. 2,300 hours. His patrol shift was almost over and nothing had happened. Again. For 8 months, Tae-ho had walked these same corridors. 8 months of guarding empty mining tunnels and checking sealed doors. 8 months of the same routine that never changed. The moon was supposed to be humanity's gateway to the stars, but most days it felt more like a very expensive prison. Sector 11 clear. He spoke into his comm device. His voice echoed off the metal walls around him. The mining colony was huge, built deep into the lunar surface to protect workers from radiation and meteor strikes. Most of it was active, filled with the sounds of drilling and processing equipment. But some sections had been abandoned when the mining companies found richer deposits elsewhere. "Copy that, Sergeant Kim," came the reply from command. "Proceed to Sector 12 for final sweep." Tae-ho sighed. Sector 12 was the oldest part of the colony. It had been sealed off years ago when structural problems made it unsafe for regular operations. But regulations said every sector had to be checked once per week. So here he was, walking through empty hallways that no one cared about. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor as he walked. The air recycling system hummed quietly overhead. Sometimes Tae-ho wondered what his father would think of him now. Dr. Kim Jae-sung had been a brilliant scientist, always working on projects that would help humanity reach further into space. Tae-ho had become a soldier instead. Not exactly the same path. His father had died 15 years ago in what the military called a transport accident. Tae-ho had been 13 then, old enough to ask questions but too young to get real answers. The official reports were simple. Dr. Kim had been working on a classified project. His transport ship had suffered mechanical failure. End of story. But Tae-ho had never really believed it. His father was too careful, too smart to die in a simple accident. There had to be more to it. "Approaching Sector 12 entrance," he reported, as he reached the heavy blast doors that sealed off the old section. The doors were marked with warning signs in multiple languages. Structural damage, atmospheric breach risk, authorized personnel only. Tae-ho placed his hand on the scanner beside the door. The device beeped twice and the locks disengaged with a heavy clunk. The doors slid open with a grinding sound that made him wince. Everything in Sector 12 was old and poorly maintained. The air inside was stale, but breathable. Emergency lighting cast long shadows down the corridor ahead. Tae-ho stepped inside and began his standard patrol route. Check the pressure seals. Verify that all side passages remained blocked off. Look for any signs of damage or unauthorized entry. It was boring work, but Tae-ho had learned to be thorough. The military had taught him that small problems could become big disasters if ignored. He was halfway through the sector when his scanner started beeping. Not the steady pulse of a routine sweep, but an irregular pattern that meant something unusual. Tae-ho stopped walking and looked at the device. Energy readings. Faint, but definitely there. That was impossible. Sector 12 had been powered down years ago. There should be no energy signatures at all. Tae-ho followed the scanner readings down a side corridor he had never explored before. The beeping got stronger as he walked. Whatever was generating the energy was close. The corridor ended at a door that did not appear on any of his maps. The metal was different from the rest of the colony, smoother and more advanced looking. Instead of a simple lock, it had some kind of electronic seal that was still active. "Command, this is Sergeant Kim," he said into his comm. "I have found an unmapped room in Sector 12, requesting permission to investigate." Static filled his earpiece for several seconds. Then, "Negative, Sergeant. Complete your patrol and return to base. We will send a technical team to investigate. Tomorrow." Tae-ho stared at the sealed door. Protocol said he should follow orders and leave, but his scanner was showing energy levels that could indicate a life support system. If someone was trapped inside, he made his decision. Using his plasma cutter, Tae-ho began working on the door seal. It took several minutes, but finally the lock gave way. The door slid open with a soft hiss of equalizing air pressure. Inside was a small room that looked like living quarters, but not human living quarters. The proportions were wrong. The ceiling was lower, the furniture smaller, and in the corner, curled up on what might have been a bed, was a figure that made Tejo forget how to breathe. It was a child, but not a human child. The skin was pale blue, almost white. The limbs were thinner than a human's, with longer fingers and toes. Large violet eyes stared at him from a face that was both alien and somehow familiar. Standing beside the child was something even more shocking. A robot, but unlike any Tejo had ever seen. It was tall and sleek, with smooth lines and advanced materials that seemed to absorb light. Its eyes glowed with soft blue radiance as it turned to look at him. "Please do not be afraid," the robot said in perfect Korean. Its voice was calm and strangely familiar. "I am Guardian Unit Phoenix 7. I have been waiting for someone to find us." Tejo raised his weapon instinctively, then lowered it. The robot had not moved to attack. The child looked weak and scared, but not dangerous. "You speak Korean," Tejo said, still trying to process what he was seeing. "Yes. I was programmed to speak many languages, but Korean was given special importance." The robot tilted its head slightly. "You are Sergeant Kim Tejo, are you not? Your family name is familiar to me." "How do you know my name?" "Your identification broadcasts your rank and surname. But more importantly, are you related to Dr. Kim Jae-sung?" Tejo felt the world shift around him. "That was my father. He died 15 years ago." "No," the robot said quietly. "He did not die. He lived here, in this place, helping to care for refugees like Nara." The robot gestured to the alien child. "He built me to protect her when he could no longer do so himself." The child stirred on her bed and spoke in a weak voice, mixing Korean words with sounds Tejo did not recognize. "Appa," she said, reaching toward the robot. Then, looking at Tejo, "Are you like Appa Kim?" Tejo holstered his weapon completely and knelt down beside the child. She was clearly malnourished and exhausted. Whatever had happened here, she needed help immediately. "Phoenix 7, he said to the robot. "We need to get her to medical care." "I agree. I have been trying to maintain her health, but my resources are limited. Will you help us, Sergeant Kim? Will you continue what your father started?" As Tejo looked into the robot's glowing eyes, he realized his boring patrol shift had just become the most important day of his life. The medical bay of Lunar Colony Delta 7 had never seen a patient like Nara before. Dr. Park So-jin had treated broken bones, radiation sickness, and mining accidents. She had never treated an alien child with blue skin and violet eyes. "Her temperature is lower than human normal," Dr. Park said as she ran another scan. "But her vital signs are stable. She is severely malnourished, though. When did she last eat a proper meal?" Phoenix 7 stood beside the medical bed, never moving more than a few feet from Nara. The robot's blue eyes tracked every movement Dr. Park made. "Food supplies ran low 3 weeks ago. I have been rationing what remained, but it was not enough." Tejo watched from the corner of the room. 2 hours had passed since he found them, and he still could not believe what was happening. An alien child. A robot that claimed to know his father. Everything he thought he knew about the world had changed in one night. "The scanner shows her cellular structure is remarkably adaptable," Dr. Park continued. "Her body seems capable of processing both human food and something else entirely." "What did she normally eat?" "A combination of synthesized nutrients and processed organic matter from her homeworld," Phoenix 7 replied. "Dr. Kim helped design food processors that could create suitable nutrition for her species." Dr. Park looked up from her scanner. "Dr. Kim, you mean Dr. Kim Jae-sung, Tejo's father?" "Yes, he was instrumental in establishing care protocols for refugees." The word refugees hit Tejo like a physical blow. "What refugees? What are you talking about?" Phoenix 7 turned to face him. "There are others, Sergeant Kim. Not many, but scattered across the outer colonies and mining stations. Nara's people are survivors from a dying world. They came here seeking sanctuary." "When?" Tejo demanded. When did this happen? Why was it kept secret? 15 years ago, a probe was discovered in the outer solar system. Inside were data files and a small group of survivors in hibernation. Your father was part of the team that made first contact. Dr. Park finished her initial examination and began preparing a nutrient solution for Nara. The child had been conscious but weak, speaking occasionally in her own language mixed with simple Korean words. She keeps calling you Appa. Tai-ho said to Phoenix 7. That means father. Yes. Dr. Kim programmed me with Korean language patterns and cultural references. He wanted me to provide not just protection, but emotional support. To Nara, I am the closest thing to a parent she has. Left. The medical bay doors opened and Commander Lee Dong-woo entered, followed by Engineer Han Bo-ram and 2 security guards. The commander was a stern man in his 50s who rarely showed emotion. But even he looked stunned as he stared at Nara and Phoenix 7. Sergeant Kim, you should have waited for backup before entering that room, Commander Lee said, but his voice lacked its usual authority. I detected life signs, sir. I thought someone might need help. And you were right. Commander Lee approached the medical bed slowly. Dr. Park, what is her condition? Stable but weak. She needs proper nutrition and rest. Her biology is different from humans, but not incompatible with our environment. Dr. Park paused. Commander, how long have we known about this? We didn't, Commander Lee admitted. Earth Command had no records of any alien contact. This is as much a surprise to us as to you, Phoenix 7 spoke up. The program was classified at the highest levels. Only a small group of scientists and officials knew about it. When the political situation changed, the project was officially terminated. What happened to the people involved? Tai-ho asked. Some returned to Earth. Others chose to remain with the refugee groups. Your father was among those who stayed. Engineer Han Bo-ram had been examining Phoenix 7 from a distance, taking readings with a handheld scanner. Commander, this robot's technology is at least 20 years ahead of anything we currently have. The materials, the power systems, the AI processing capability. It's incredible. I was designed using a combination of human engineering and recovered alien technology, Phoenix 7 explained. Dr. Kim believed that cooperation between species would produce better results than either could achieve alone. Nara stirred on the medical bed and spoke softly in Korean. Is Appa Kim coming back? I have been waiting for him. The room fell silent. Tai-ho knelt beside the bed and took her small hand in his. What happened to my father, Phoenix 7? Tell me the truth. The robot's eyes dimmed slightly. Dr. Kim died protecting Nara's parents when their life support system failed. He managed to repair enough of the damage to save Nara, but the effort cost him his life. His last instructions were to care for her until help arrived. That was 2 years ago, Phoenix 7 continued. I have been maintaining this facility and caring for Nara ever since. Food supplies were limited. I sent distress signals but received no response. Dr. Park finished preparing the nutrient solution and helped Nara drink it slowly. The child's color improved almost immediately. She responds well to treatment. With proper care, she should recover completely. Commander Lee activated his comm device. I need to contact Earth Command immediately. This situation is far beyond my authority level. Wait, Tai-ho said. What about the others? Phoenix 7 said there were more refugees. 12 colonies in total, the robot confirmed, each with a small population and a guardian unit based on my design. They have been hidden throughout the outer system, waiting for a time when open contact would be safe. Engineer Han looked up from her scanner readings. Commander, Phoenix 7's systems are encrypted beyond our ability to decode, but it's clearly more advanced than anything in our current technology database. I will share information freely, Phoenix 7 said, but only with those who prove they can be trusted with refugee lives. Dr. Kim programmed me to be cautious about revealing too much too quickly. Nara finished drinking and looked around the room with curious eyes. She said something in her own language, then switched to Korean. Are you all friends of Appa Kim? We're trying to be. Taiho answered. Commander. Lee finished his communication with Earth Command. His face was grim when he turned back to the group. A diplomatic team is being assembled. They will arrive within 48 hours. Until then, this information is classified at the highest level. What about Nara? Dr. Park asked. She needs continued medical care. She stays here under guard, Phoenix 7 as well. I will not be separated from Nara, the robot stated firmly. That is my primary directive. And I won't let you separate them either, Taiho added. She trusts Phoenix 7. After everything she's been through, that matters. Commander Lee studied Taiho for a moment. Very well, but you are responsible for both of them, Sergeant. This situation just became the most sensitive matter in human history. As the others left the medical bay, Taiho remained with Nara and Phoenix 7. The child was already looking stronger, and she smiled at him with genuine warmth. Appa Kim told me about Earth people, she said in careful Korean. He said some were very kind. Taiho squeezed her hand gently. He was right, and we're going to take care of you. But even as he said it, Taiho wondered what would happen when Earth Command arrived. Would they see Nara as a person to be protected, or a problem to be solved? The answer would determine not just her fate, but possibly the future of human-alien relations. Taiho had not slept in 36 hours. He sat in the small chair beside Nara's bed, watching her chest rise and fall as she slept peacefully for the first time since he found her. Phoenix 7 stood motionless nearby, but Taiho knew the robot was always alert. Dr. Park entered quietly with another nutrient pack. Her condition is improving rapidly. Whatever Phoenix 7 did to keep her alive, it worked. I followed Dr. Kim's medical protocols, the robot said softly. But my resources were limited. She needed proper care. Taiho looked up at Phoenix 7. For 2 days, the robot had answered basic questions but avoided details about his father's work. Now, with Nara stable and sleeping, maybe it was time for real answers. Phoenix 7, I need to know everything. What really happened 15 years ago? The robot's blue eyes focused on him. The truth is complicated, Sergeant Kim. Are you prepared to learn that everything you were told about your father's death was false? I've suspected that for years. Tell me. Phoenix 7 was quiet for a long moment. Then holographic images began, forming in the air above his hand. Taiho saw a sleek alien vessel, much smaller than human ships but clearly advanced. In 2072, deep space monitoring stations detected an object approaching from outside our solar system. It was not a natural asteroid or comet. It was artificial. The hologram showed the object being intercepted by human ships. First contact, protocols were activated. A small team of scientists and diplomats was assembled. Your father was chosen for his expertise in robotics and artificial intelligence. New images appeared. Taiho saw his father, 15 years younger, working alongside other humans and several alien beings. His father looked excited, fascinated by everything he was learning. The aliens called themselves the Keth. They were not invaders or conquerors. They were refugees. Their homeworld was dying from environmental collapse and stellar instability. They had sent out dozens of small ships, each carrying a few families, hoping to find sanctuary among the stars. How many came here? Taiho asked. The ship that reached our system carried 87 individuals, men, women, and children. They had been traveling for 12 years in hibernation, following signals from our radio broadcasts. The hologram showed alien families awakening from their long sleep. Adults helping children, everyone looking scared and hopeful at the same time. Earth's governments were divided on what to do. Some wanted to offer immediate help. Others feared the aliens might be dangerous or that their arrival would cause panic among human populations, so they kept it secret, Taiho said. Yes, a compromise was reached. The refugees would be given sanctuary, but in hidden locations throughout the outer system. Small groups would be placed on remote mining stations and research facilities where they could live safely without public knowledge. The holographic images changed to show construction projects, hidden living spaces built into asteroid mining operations. concealed habitats on the moons of outer planets. Your father volunteered to help establish these refugee settlements. He designed guardian units to protect and care for the aliens when human support was not available. Tejo watched his father in the hologram, working intently on robot designs. He built you. I was the 7th unit completed, assigned to protect a small group including Nara's family. Dr. Kim programmed me with Korean language and cultural patterns because he hoped that someday his own family might be involved in the refugee support network. What went wrong? Dr. Park asked. She had been listening quietly, but now stepped closer to see the holograms better. Political changes on Earth, new administrations with different priorities. The refugee program was officially terminated and declared classified beyond top secret. Most human support personnel were recalled to Earth. But my father stayed. Dr. Kim and several others chose to remain with the refugees. They felt responsible for the people they had promised to protect. For 3 years they maintained the hidden colonies with minimal support from Earth. The holographic images showed his father working in laboratories similar to the room where Tai-Ho had found Nara and Phoenix 7. He looked older, more tired, but still determined. Then disaster struck Nara's colony. A solar storm damaged their life support systems. The atmospheric processors began failing, and toxic gases started building up in their living spaces. Tejo saw emergency scenes in the holograms, alien families evacuating damaged sections, his father working frantically to repair critical systems. Dr. Kim managed to fix enough of the life support to save most of the colony, but the effort required him to work in a contaminated area for too long. He suffered severe radiation poisoning. He died saving them, Tejo said quietly. Yes, but before he died, he completed work on an emergency protocol. If the hidden colonies were ever discovered by unauthorized personnel, the guardian units were to evaluate whether the discoverers could be trusted with refugee lives. Phoenix 7's eyes brightened slightly. When you chose to help Nara, instead of simply reporting the discovery to your commanders, you passed the first test. Dr. Kim programmed me to watch for people who would put a child's welfare above military regulations. Nara stirred in her sleep and murmured something in her own language. Phoenix 7 immediately moved closer to the bed, checking her vital signs. She's dreaming, Dr. Park observed. Her brain activity is similar to human REM sleep patterns. Nara has been having nightmares since her parents died, Phoenix 7 said. She dreams of the day the life support failed. Your father spent his last days comforting her, teaching her Korean words and earth songs to help her sleep. Tejo felt a strange mix of pride and sadness. His father had died as a hero, but Tejo had grown up believing he was dead from a meaningless accident. Phoenix 7, you said there were 12 colonies. Are they all still hidden? Yes. Each colony has a guardian unit based on my design. We maintain minimal contact with each other to avoid detection, but food and medical supplies are becoming critical problems. How many refugees in total? Approximately 300 individuals. The colonies were designed to be self-sufficient, but equipment failures and resource depletion have made survival increasingly difficult. Dr. Park was studying the holographic images that still floated in the air. Phoenix 7, these medical protocols your father developed, they show techniques for treating multiple species with the same equipment. Dr. Kim believed that medical knowledge should be universal. He combined human techniques with Keth medical science to create hybrid treatment methods. The applications could revolutionize medicine, she said excitedly. Treatments that work for different biological systems. Adaptive medical equipment. This could help humans explore and colonize worlds with different environmental conditions. Tejo stood up and walked to the small window that looked out over the lunar surface. Earth hung in the black sky above, blue and white and beautiful. Soon, representatives from Earth would arrive to decide what to do about the refugees. Phoenix 7, what did my father want to happen? What was his plan for the future? Dr. Kim believed that humans and Keth could build something better together than either species could achieve alone. He wanted the refugee program to be the beginning of peaceful cooperation between worlds. And if Earth's government decides the refugees are a threat, Phoenix 7's voice became very quiet. Then I will fulfill my secondary directive. Protect the refugees at all costs, even if it means conflict with human authorities. Nara woke up and looked around the room with sleepy eyes. She saw Taeho standing by the window and smiled. "Good morning, Appa Kim's son," she said in careful Korean. Taeho turned back to her. "Good morning, Nara. How are you feeling?" "Better. Strong again." She sat up in bed looking much healthier than when he first found her. "Phoenix 7 showed me pictures of your father. He was very kind to my people. I'm learning that he was a better man than I ever knew." Nara tilted her head, studying his face. "You look sad. Are you worried about something?" Before Taeho could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the medical bay. Commander Lee's voice came over the intercom. "All personnel to stations. Earth Command diplomatic vessel arriving ahead of schedule." Through the window, Taeho could see lights approaching from the direction of Earth. The ship was larger than he expected, and it was not alone. Several military escorts accompanied it. "They brought a lot of people," Dr. Park observed. Phoenix 7 moved protectively closer to Nara's bed. "Sergeant Kim, I need you to understand something. What happens in the next few hours will determine the fate of 300 refugees scattered across 12 worlds. Choose carefully whom you trust." As the ships grew larger in the window, Taeho realized his quiet life as a lunar colony guard was over forever. The decisions he made in the coming days would affect not just his own future, but possibly the relationship between two species. The Earth Command delegation filled the colony's main conference room. Admiral Yoon Hyun-soo sat at the head of the table, a stern woman whose gray hair was pulled back in a tight bun. Beside her was Ambassador Choi Mi-young, younger but equally serious. 6 military advisors and 3 scientists completed the group. Taeho stood at attention beside Phoenix 7 and Dr. Park. Commander Lee had briefed the delegation, but their faces showed they still could not quite believe what they were hearing. "Let me understand this correctly," Admiral Yoon said, her voice sharp with authority. "We have an alien child, a robot claiming to be built by a supposedly dead scientist, and evidence of 12 hidden colonies containing 300 refugees." "That is correct, Admiral," Commander Lee replied. Ambassador Choi leaned forward. "And this has been happening for 15 years without Earth Command's knowledge." "The program was classified beyond normal channels," Phoenix 7 said. "Only the highest levels of government were informed, and when administrations changed, institutional knowledge was lost." One of the military advisors, Colonel Park Sung-min, looked skeptical. "How convenient. A secret so secret that even we didn't know about it." "Phoenix 7, Admiral Yoon addressed the robot directly. You claim to have proof of these allegations. I have complete records of Dr. Kim's work, including video logs, technical specifications, and communication records with other colonies. However, accessing this information requires specific authorization." "What kind of authorization?" Phoenix 7's blue eyes focused on Taeho. "Dr. Kim programmed a security protocol requiring consent from both a member of his family and a representative of the refugee population." Nara, who had been sitting quietly beside Taeho, spoke up in clear Korean. "I am Nara, daughter of Keth Prima Jinta, speaker for the Eastern Colonies. I give my consent." The room fell silent. Even speaking in a child's voice, Nara had pronounced the formal words with unmistakable authority. "And you, Sergeant Kim," Phoenix 7 said, "will you authorize access to your father's legacy?" Taeho looked around the room at the assembled officials. These people would decide the fate of hundreds of refugees based on what they learned in the next few hours. "I authorize it," he said. Phoenix 7 extended his hand and projected a large, holographic display that filled half the conference room. The images were crystal clear, showing Dr. Kim Jae-sung working in a laboratory that looked far more advanced than anything Taeho had seen before. Personal log Dr. Kim Jae-sung, Day 112 of the Refugee Support Program. His father's voice spoke from the recording. "Integration of Keth technology with human systems is proceeding better than expected. The atmospheric processors we've designed can support both oxygen breathing and methane-adapted life forms." Admiral Yoon leaned forward, studying the holographic equipment. "Those atmospheric processors, how efficient are they?" 30% more efficient than current human designs, Phoenix 7 replied. Dr. Kim combined human engineering with Keth, environmental science. The hologram changed to show his father working alongside several Keth scientists. They were tall and elegant, with the same blue-tinted skin as Nara but adult features. Their hands moved with precise grace as they adjusted. Complex machinery. Keth science focuses on biological integration with technology. Dr. Kim's voice continued in the recording. They don't just build machines. They grow them, creating systems that adapt and self-repair. Combined with human manufacturing techniques, we're creating something entirely new. Dr. Song Mi-ran, one of the Earth scientists, was taking rapid notes. The applications could be revolutionary: self-repairing equipment for deep space exploration, adaptive life support systems for colonies on hostile worlds. Dr. Kim documented everything, Phoenix 7 said as new images appeared. Food synthesis, technology that can process almost any organic matter into nutritious meals. Medical scanners that adapt automatically to different biological systems. Communication devices that learn and translate languages in real time. Ambassador Choi studied the displays intently. This technology, it could give humanity significant advantages in space colonization. That was Dr. Kim's hope, Phoenix 7 confirmed. He believed that cooperation with refugee populations would benefit both species. The holographic scene changed to show a map of the solar system with 12 locations marked in red. Each mark showed a small colony built into asteroids, moons, or space stations. These are the current refugee settlements, Phoenix 7 explained. Each houses between 15 and 40 individuals. They were designed to be completely self-sufficient, but equipment failures and resource depletion have made their situations increasingly desperate. How desperate? Admiral Yoon asked. Colony 7 lost life support 6 months ago. The inhabitants were evacuated to Colony 4, which is now overcrowded. Colony 2's food synthesizers failed last month. Colony 12 has been without medical supplies for 8 weeks, Nara spoke up, her young voice carrying unexpected weight. My people are dying, Admiral Yoon. Not from war or disease, but from broken machines and empty storage tanks. Colonel Park looked uncomfortable. Even if we wanted to help, providing support to 12 hidden colonies would require massive resources and personnel. Not necessarily, Phoenix 7 said. The hologram changed to show technical specifications for supply drones and automated maintenance systems. Dr. Kim designed logistics networks that could support all colonies with minimal human involvement. The infrastructure is already in place, Phoenix 7 continued. It just needs activation and initial supply runs. Dr. Song was studying the technical displays with growing excitement. Admiral, this technology represents advances that could take us decades to develop independently. The medical applications alone could save thousands of human lives. And what do the refugees want in return? Ambassador Choi asked. Permanent sanctuary, citizenship rights, territory of their own. Nara looked at Phoenix 7, who nodded encouragingly. She stood up, looking remarkably composed for a child who had been near death just days before. My people do not want to take anything from humans, she said clearly. We want to work together to share knowledge and build better worlds for everyone. We have experience with dying planets and environmental collapse. We know how to save worlds that others might consider lost. Your homeworld, Admiral Yoon said. What happened to it? Our sun became unstable. The climate changed too quickly for adaptation, but before we left, we learned how to heal damaged ecosystems and create new environments where life could thrive. Phoenix 7 projected new images showing Keth environmental technology, machines that could clean polluted air and water, systems that could restore depleted soil and damaged plant life. Earth itself could benefit from this knowledge, and Phoenix 7 said. Climate restoration technology, pollution remediation systems, methods for maintaining ecological balance on industrialized worlds. The room was quiet as everyone absorbed the implications. Finally, Admiral Yoon spoke. Phoenix 7, you mentioned that other Guardian units exist in the refugee colonies. Do they all have access to this information? Yes, Admiral. We maintain a shared database of all technological developments and colony status reports. Any colony that faces critical problems immediately shares solutions with the others. And they're all programmed to protect the refugees. At all costs, if necessary. Colonel Park frowned. That sounds like a threat. It is a statement of purpose, Phoenix 7 replied calmly. Dr. Kim programmed us to prioritize refugee lives above all other considerations. If Earth chooses to help, we will cooperate fully. If Earth chooses hostility, we will resist. How? Admiral Yoon asked. 12 Guardian units against Earth's military forces. Phoenix 7 was quiet for a moment. Then the hologram showed images of advanced weapons and defensive systems that clearly surpassed current human technology. Dr. Kim hoped cooperation would never require coercion, Phoenix 7 said. But he was a practical man. He ensured that the refugees could defend themselves if necessary. Nara walked over to Admiral Yoon and looked up at her with large violet eyes. Please, Admiral. My people only want to live in peace. We have lost our home, our world, most of our families. We do not want to lose our new home, too. Admiral Yoon stared down at the alien child for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than before. What exactly are you proposing? Partnership, Nara said simply. Humans and Keth working together. Sharing knowledge, sharing worlds, building a future that is better for everyone. Taeho stepped forward. Admiral, my father died believing this was possible. I'd like the chance to prove he was right. The holographic displays continued showing technical specifications and colony locations. In just a few hours, Taeho had learned that his father's work had created the foundation for the most important decision in human history. The question now was whether Earth's leaders would choose cooperation or conflict. 3 days of meetings had split Earth Command into two clear factions. Admiral Yoon sat in her temporary office aboard the command vessel, reviewing reports that painted a troubling picture of divided opinions. Half of her advisors saw the refugees as an unprecedented opportunity. The technology demonstrations had been impressive. Keth environmental science could help Earth address climate problems that had plagued humanity for decades. Their medical knowledge could extend human lifespans and make space exploration safer. The other half saw potential threats everywhere. 300 aliens with advanced technology, protected by robots programmed to resist human authority. What if the refugees were advanced scouts for a larger invasion? What if their real goal was to weaken humanity from within? Admiral, Colonel Park entered her office with another stack of classified communications. Earth Central Command wants an immediate decision. The news media is starting to ask questions about our extended mission here. Admiral Yoon nodded grimly. Keeping the discovery secret was becoming harder each day. Sooner or later, word would leak to the public. When that happened, Earth's government wanted clear policies already in place. What's the current status of the refugee colonies? She asked. Phoenix 7 provided detailed reports yesterday. Colony 7 is in critical condition. They lost another atmospheric processor during the night. Colony 2 is rationing food at dangerous levels. How long before people start dying? Weeks, maybe days for the most critical situations. Admiral Yoon walked to her window and looked out at the lunar surface. Somewhere below, in the medical bay, the alien child Nara was playing word games with Dr. Park, while Sergeant Kim watched. Over them both. The scene looked so normal, so peaceful. It was hard to believe that such simple moments might determine the future of two species. Her door chimed and Ambassador Choi entered. Admiral, we need to make a decision soon. I've been in communication with the refugee colonies through Phoenix 7. They're becoming increasingly concerned about our intentions. What are they saying? That they understand Earth's caution, but that they have families dying while we debate politics. Admiral Yoon turned back to the window. Ambassador, what's your assessment? Are they really refugees, or could this be something more complex? I've spent 40 years in diplomatic service, Admiral. I've negotiated with hostile governments, criminal organizations, and terrorist groups. These people don't behave like any of those. Explain. Real threats make demands. They want territory, resources, or power. The Keth refugees have made no demands at all. They've offered to share their most advanced technology in exchange for basic survival needs. Phoenix 7 demonstrated weapon systems, defensive weapons, designed specifically to protect small populations against larger forces. If they wanted to attack humanity, they wouldn't need to hide in asteroid colonies for 15 years. A communication alert sounded from Admiral Yoon's desk. She activated the screen and saw the face of General Nam Ho-seok from Earth Central Command. Admiral Yoon, what's your situation report? General, the refugee colonies are confirmed real. The technology demonstrations suggest significant potential benefits from cooperation. However, security concerns remain regarding their defensive capabilities. Admiral, I need a clear recommendation. Are we dealing with friends or enemies? Before Admiral Yoon could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Her tactical officer's voice came over the intercom. Admiral, to the bridge immediately. We have multiple contacts approaching from the outer system. Admiral Yoon and Ambassador Choi rushed to the bridge where the main display showed 12 objects moving toward the lunar colony at high speed. Size and configuration, Admiral Yoon demanded. Small vessels, approximately 50 meters each. Configuration unknown. They're not matching any designs in our database. Time to intercept. 18 minutes at current speed. Admiral Yoon activated her communication system. All Earth Command vessels, move to defensive positions around the lunar colony. Unknown vessels approaching. On the lunar surface below, Tae-ho received the alert in the medical bay. Phoenix 7's blue eyes immediately brightened to full intensity. Phoenix 7, Tae-ho said urgently. What's happening? The other Guardian units are coming, Phoenix 7 replied. They have been monitoring our communications with Earth Command. They are concerned about the delay in making decisions. Are they hostile? They are protective. If they believe Earth intends to harm the refugees, they will act to prevent it. Dr. Park was moving Nara to a safer position away from the windows. Phoenix 7, can you communicate with them? Tell them we're trying to help. I will attempt communication, but they may not trust words at this point. Colony 7 lost 2 more inhabitants yesterday. Colony 2 has children who have not eaten in 3 days. Tae-ho activated his comm system. Command, this is Sergeant Kim. Phoenix 7 says the approaching vessels are the other Guardian units. They're coming because refugees are dying while we debate. Admiral Yoon's voice came back tense with stress. Sergeant, can Phoenix 7 call them off? Phoenix 7, Tae-ho asked. I can try, but they will only listen if Earth demonstrates genuine commitment to helping the refugees. Words alone will not be sufficient. On the bridge of the command vessel, Admiral Yoon watched the approaching objects. Her weapons systems were powered and ready, but attacking would almost certainly mean war with technologically superior opponents. Admiral, her tactical officer reported, the unknown vessels have stopped just outside weapon range. They're maintaining position but not approaching further. Any communication attempts? Negative. They're just waiting. Phoenix 7's voice came over the lunar colony communication system. Admiral Yoon, the Guardian units are requesting immediate conference. They want Earth's decision regarding refugee support. Now, while they have weapons trained on us. Admiral, they're not targeting your ships. If they wanted to attack, you would already be under fire. They're demonstrating their ability to respond quickly to threats against refugees. Nothing more. Ambassador Choi moved closer to Admiral Yoon. Admiral, this is the moment Dr. Kim Jae-sung programmed into their systems. They're forcing us to choose cooperation or conflict right now. And if I choose wrong, if you choose conflict, those Guardian units will probably destroy our ships and disappear back into the outer system with all the refugees. If you choose cooperation, we have a chance to build something unprecedented. Admiral Yoon looked around her bridge. Her officers were waiting for orders. Below on the lunar surface, an alien child was waiting to learn whether she would live or die. Throughout the solar system, refugee families were waiting for help that might never come. Phoenix 7, she said into the communication system. What exactly would cooperation require? Immediate medical and food supplies for the most critical colonies, long-term commitment to technology sharing and joint development projects, formal recognition of refugee rights within the solar system, and in exchange, full access to Keth. Environmental, medical, and manufacturing technologies. Cooperative development of improved space colonization techniques. Partnership in preparing for contact with other refugee populations that may arrive in the future. Other refugees. Admiral, the Keth were not the only species forced to flee dying worlds. Our monitoring systems have detected at least 6 other refugee fleets in nearby star systems. If Earth proves capable of successful first contact, it could become a sanctuary world for multiple species. The implications hit Admiral Yoon like a physical blow. Humanity was not just deciding the fate of 300 Keth refugees. They were potentially deciding their own role in a galaxy full of displaced peoples seeking new homes. Admiral, Colonel Park said quietly, if we refuse, we're not just rejecting these refugees. We're potentially isolating humanity from a larger galactic community. Admiral Yoon closed her eyes for a moment, thinking of her daughter back on Earth. What kind of future did she want to leave for the next generation? One where humanity stood alone or one where they were part of something larger? Phoenix 7, she said finally. If I agree to immediate refugee support, will the Guardian units stand down? Yes, Admiral. They will return to their colonies and resume normal protection duties. And if the cooperation fails, if our governments decide this was a mistake, then we will protect the refugees as we have always done. But we hope that will not be necessary. Admiral Yoon looked at Ambassador Choi, who nodded encouragingly. She thought of Dr. Kim Jae-sung, a man who had given his life to prove that cooperation between species was possible. All ships stand down to normal alert status, she commanded. Do not target the Guardian vessels. She activated the colony-wide communication system. Phoenix 7, this is Admiral Yoon. Earth Command authorizes immediate humanitarian support for all refugee colonies. We accept your proposal for technological cooperation. The response was immediate. The 12 Guardian vessels began moving away from the lunar area, heading back toward their hidden colonies. Phoenix 7's voice carried obvious relief. Thank you, Admiral. Supply coordinates are being transmitted to your logistics officers. The refugees will remember this decision. In the medical bay, Nara looked up at Taiho with bright eyes. Does this mean my people will be safe? I think so, Taiho replied, though he knew the real work was just beginning. Admiral Yoon remained on the bridge, watching the Guardian vessels disappear into the darkness of space. She had just made the most important decision in human history. Whether it would be remembered as the moment humanity joined a galactic community, or the beginning of their greatest mistake remained to be seen. But as she thought of the alien child playing word games in the medical bay below, Admiral Yoon felt something she had not expected. Hope. 6 months later, Taiho stood in what had once been the abandoned Sector 12. The empty corridors now bustled with activity as human engineers worked alongside Keith scientists. The sound of construction echoed through halls that had been silent for years. The transformation had been remarkable. What started as Admiral Yoon's emergency decision had grown into the largest cooperative project in human history. The lunar colony had become the first official human-Keth integration facility, with similar centers being built on Mars and several asteroid stations. Sergeant Kim, Dr. Park called from across the main laboratory. She had been promoted to head the new Interspecies Medical Research Division. Could you ask Nara to help with the translation protocols? The medical scanner is having trouble with Keth physiological terms. Taiho looked around and found Nara working at a computer terminal with engineer Han Bo-ram. The alien child had grown taller in the past months, and her Korean had become nearly perfect. More importantly, she had become the bridge between two species learning to work together. Nara, he called, Dr. Park needs your help. Coming, Uncle Taiho, she replied, using the Korean term of respect she had learned for addressing family friends. The word still made him smile. As Nara moved to help Dr. Park, Phoenix 7 approached Taiho. The robot had been upgraded with new systems that allowed him to coordinate with human networks, but his primary focus remained unchanged: protecting refugees and honoring Dr. Kim's memory. Sergeant Kim, I have received updates from all 12 colonies. Supply deliveries are complete and all critical systems have been repaired. Casualties? None. Admiral Yoon's decision saved approximately 47 lives that would have been lost to equipment failures. Through the laboratory windows, Taeho could see Earth hanging in space above. But now he knew it was not alone. Deep space monitoring stations had confirmed Phoenix 7's earlier report. 6 other refugee fleets were scattered across nearby star systems, watching to see how humanity handled first contact. Phoenix 7. Any word from the other fleets? Yes. The Veltar refugees in the Proxima Centauri system have sent preliminary communication signals. They are cautiously optimistic about Earth's treatment of the Keth refugees. How many Veltar? Approximately 15,000 individuals across multiple ships. They have been traveling for 37 years, seeking a system that can support their agricultural communities. The numbers were staggering. Hundreds of thousands of refugees from multiple species, all looking for sanctuary among the stars. Earth's response to the Keth had essentially made humanity the de facto immigration authority for the local galaxy. Commander Lee entered the laboratory, followed by a woman Taeho did not recognize. She was tall and professional-looking, with the bearing of someone accustomed to authority. Sergeant Kim, I'd like you to meet Director Shin Arin from Earth Central Intelligence. She's here to discuss your new assignment. Taeho straightened to attention, but Director Shin gestured for him to relax. Sergeant, your handling of the refugee situation has impressed people at the highest levels of government. We're creating a new organization called the Interspecies Protection Corps. We want you to head the Field Operations Division. What would that involve? Coordinating security for refugee settlements, managing first contact protocols for newly arrived refugee fleets, ensuring that both human and alien populations can coexist safely. It was a massive responsibility, but Taeho found himself thinking of his father. Dr. Kim had given his life to prove that cooperation was possible. This was a chance to continue that work on a much larger scale. I accept, he said. Nara had finished helping Dr. Park and was now showing a group of human children how to operate a Keth educational device. The children, sons and daughters of colony personnel, were learning basic alien language skills with the same enthusiasm they might show for any new game. The next generation will grow up thinking this is normal, Phoenix 7 observed, watching the children play together. Maybe that's the most important thing, Taeho replied. Making interspecies cooperation so normal that they never question it. Director Shin activated a holographic display showing star charts with multiple marked locations. Sergeant Kim, your first assignment will be establishing contact with the Veltar fleet. They've expressed willingness to approach our system if we can guarantee their safety. Agricultural communities, you said. What do they need? Planetary territory suitable for farming. The Veltar specialize in food production for multiple species. They could help solve food security problems for both refugee and human populations. Phoenix 7 projected additional information. The Veltar also possess advanced knowledge of sustainable resource management. Their techniques could help Earth address long-term environmental challenges. Through the window, Taeho watched supply ships moving between Earth and the various colony locations. The integration process had not been without problems. Some human groups remained suspicious of alien intentions. Some refugee communities were reluctant to trust after years of hiding. But progress was measurable. The first hybrid technologies were already in production. Medical devices that worked equally well for human and Keth patients. Environmental systems that could maintain multiple atmospheric compositions simultaneously. Communication networks that could translate between dozens of languages in real time. Director Shin, Taeho said, what's the public reaction on Earth? How are people handling the news? Mixed, as expected. The environmental applications have generated tremendous enthusiasm among scientists and environmental groups. The medical advances are being hailed as revolutionary, but there's also fear about job displacement and cultural change. And politically, Earth's government is committed to the integration process, but we're taking it slowly. Public opinion polls show growing acceptance, especially among younger generations. Nara finished her lesson with the human children and walked over to join the adults. She had become remarkably skilled at reading human emotions and social situations. "Uncle, Taeho," she said, "the children asked me about my parents. I told them about Appa Kim, how he took care of my family when we had nowhere else to go." "What did they say?" "That they hoped more people like him would help other families who need homes." The simple wisdom of children, Taeho thought. They saw the situation not as a complex political problem, but as families helping other families. Commander Lee received a communication alert and activated his display. "Sergeant Kim, we're receiving a priority message from the Veltar fleet." The hologram showed an alien figure unlike the Keth. Where Nara's people were tall and elegant, the Veltar appeared more robust, with greenish skin and large eyes adapted for different light conditions. "Greetings, people of Earth," the alien spoke through translation systems. "I am Harvest Leader Kol Nin of the Veltar Agricultural Fleet. We have monitored your treatment of the Keth refugees with great interest. We understand that humanity is willing to provide sanctuary for displaced peoples. We formally request permission to enter your system and establish agricultural colonies in exchange for food production technology and sustainable farming knowledge." Director Shin looked at Taeho. "Sergeant Kim, as head of the Interspecies Protection Corps, this is your decision to make." Taeho thought of the massive responsibility he was accepting. 15,000 new refugees, agricultural colonies that would need territory and resources, the potential for conflict if integration failed. But he also thought of Nara, playing happily with human children who accepted her as naturally as they accepted each other. He thought of his father, who had believed cooperation between species was not just possible, but necessary for survival. "Harvest Leader Kol Nin," Taeho said to the holographic image, "the Interspecies Protection Corps welcomes the Veltar fleet to our system. We will work together to find suitable locations for your agricultural communities." The alien's expression, filtered through translation systems, showed unmistakable relief. "Thank you, Protection Leader Taeho. Our ships will begin approach. Procedures immediately. We bring seeds and knowledge from 40 different worlds." As the communication ended, Phoenix 7 moved closer to Taeho. "Your father would be proud, Sergeant Kim. You have just opened the door for humanity to become a true sanctuary world." Through the windows, more ships were visible against the starfield. Not just human vessels now, but the distinctive designs of refugee fleets approaching from multiple directions. Earth was becoming exactly what Dr. Kim had envisioned. A meeting place where species could work together to build something better than any of them could achieve alone. Nara tugged on Taeho's sleeve. "Uncle Taeho, Phoenix 7 showed me the star maps. There are more refugee fleets coming, aren't there?" "Yes, Nara. Many more." "Good," she said with the certainty that only children possess. "Everyone deserves a safe place to call home." As Taeho looked out, a